Hi guys, Shade Raven here. Going to take a peek at my drag and drop modules uh, that I had done before in that all-in-one that I'm now looking to shift over to make modular, um, especially if it looks like there's a real good use for it. If you remember my old one here, the drag and drop, it had all the spell stuff. It's pretty redundant now. Trenlo's gone through and pulled that information so that we have a much more complete spell book that handles most of it. What little is left in there, I'm sure it'll get to over time, and it's not enough to really go through and make a full effort at this stage. But there's still some things, at least in the short term, while we're waiting for the next big updates, uh, that I can throw back out here, strip out of the old one, kind of compartmentalize it, make it more modular, and put it out here for people who still want to use some of the drag and drop stuff. So with that in mind, not that I'm not going to leave this one out available, the old one, for people that still make use of it. But for people looking to shrink it down, because opening up this one sometimes was pretty long. There was a lot to it, and that left uh, quite a lengthy load. But again, now we see one that's SRD&D for drag and drop, actions and skills. Would hopefully be the first in the series, unless it looks like it's got real use out in the community. That you can grab with a simple loading it, clicking on the load thing here, available to players, of course. And now you have a new library entry in here for SRD and D actions and skills. So in here it's pretty simple. It's just using the same thing before, like kind of the spells tab. And I'll do a quick example of that. But I threw out some story stuff, which included um, like the acknowledgments and open gaming license. I put in some of the things like the about skills section where you can kind of see all of the different details on how skills are used and determined in the game. I seem to be running into a little bit of lag here. And so you can roll down and read kind of the skills descriptions and uses of them. I did the same thing in basic for actions, which included putting in the actions that were available and that are capable of drag and drop, and the specialty actions. Now the specialty actions and the actions, I actually put everything in from the rule books. When it came to skills, and I'll show that when I come into the spell section here. When it came to skills, I only put in the ones that are particularly useful, I think, for combat and more active use, and then a few things that may be kind of little reminders. A lot of times I embedded it in the other stuff on things that are related to skills that are maybe look worth having a quick handy lookup for. I don't know how works with you guys, but a lot of times when it comes to things like identify magic and stuff, some of the players don't still have that, myself included, to that matter, always wrapped entirely around my head. So it's kind of a nice occasion to have something to refer to that says, okay, you know, what are the DCs by level? Some of the other ones deal with some of the adjustments and costs and how that works, which is another reason why like the earned income stuff a lot of times has to do with skills. Let you know what the tables to let you know what the earned income is. And I know all this stuff is out in the rule books, so when you go in the core rule book, you can find all this information out here. But I just kind of pulled it out someplace that was easy to throw into a character sheet for those people who want it, and a reference area for it. I can come have that. So I did that, and then of course there's all these skills and actions out here that are you can add to character sheets, which I'll explain real quick in a couple of different ways. One is we'll take a look at Nario here and pull him up. And the typical thing that I would believe if you just wanted to put out in your notes just a miscellaneous section, you could probably just go say earned income rules, and let's say you wanted to put that out there and you wanted something underneath it that you started putting out some of the things that you wanted. You could drag this here and would create that link, or it's going to call it a spell because that's what it's pulling it from. and get rid of that. Or I could have just simply not had any of this here, um, instead of like turning this into a header and whatnot to show that this is, I had some extra stuff there, that I might add in other things. I could have done it, but that's one way to put it for some of that. But a lot of times, well, I don't know about earned income, but a lot of these things, some people want to have access with actions. And at some point, Trend there is going to give us a really amazing update that's going to give us a new tab for things like skills and stuff. But for now, some of us are, like to make use of like the spell section to create uh, actable actions. And if you're not familiar with it, and probably not, most people are, you could just come into this actions tab, and whether or not you have wizard spells or just weapons or whatever up here, this could all be blank. It could be a fresh character with no focus wizard stuff here. You could just come down to add a spell class real quick, but my computer's not happy. And then let's say, just say I want to do skills and actions section. A lot of the stuff doesn't matter. If you want to put in some things, you can. Since most of the stuff has no uses, you can just throw it into cantrips. Say I'm going to start putting in some cantrips. Close that down. Now you have a place where it'll be draggable into cantrips. And this is where you can kind of come in and take a look at some things that maybe people want to have access to it and know the rules on it and a quick reference to. So let's say you have someone who likes to do, the demoralize, intimidation skill use against foes. He can drag it in here, drop it in that cantrips. Now we can see skill, intimidation, demoralize. And it's even got some of these, frighten 1, frighten 2, depending on success, and a -4 circumstance on using it. If the creature that you're trying to intimidate doesn't understand the language you're using. And then when you pull it up, it has just a quick reference, shows you all the traits that you can. Oh, I don't have the core rulebook open right now. If I had the core rulebook open, I could double click that. It would pull up what those traits mean. A quick description of what this does, and then the successes along with the actions and stuff. So that now, if this character, Nario, was using it against somebody, go in and say, okay, I'm doing an intimidation and demoralize. Probably doesn't have much intimidation skill by the looks of him. But, probably not much of a chance for him, but he could come in here, roll his intimidation, check it against, whatever the DM says is the DC of what he's trying. In the case of intimidation, it's usually the will of the target creature. And man, I'm going to have to shut down some windows. And then you'll get sort of the results there. He'll see a 5. He'll be able to go and unlock them. Obviously, it'll, in that case, unless the DM says, boy, this is somebody really ready to be intimidated. Probably not going to get a frightened effect on it if he has succeeded, much less a critical success. But it's just a quick example we can get out of this. I have all the things for like treat wounds. So if someone was coming in here, this one, most of the time I said there's things I have access for that have more combat readiness. There is, of course, battle medic stuff where you can actually use it in combat. But because I think treat wounds is a pretty useful, commonly used one with effects that you want to apply probably quite a bit. I added that into the skills one, and again, that's just if you say you have someone with trained in treat in medicine and had wanted to have the ability to use their healers to do treat medicine, you could drag that into here, into your cantrips. The different levels of success here are all available. So you have your regular success and your critical success, and of course a critical failure for doing the damage. But in essence, all of that's there. If you were to come in, move me out of the way here, come into spells to look up to see what it was, you would be able to find that, drag and drop actions and stuff here. So that's essentially what it is. Just that piece of it, so that people who don't necessarily need all of the different sections, because one of the disadvantages to the old drag and drop that I had first included was it had the complete wizard and the complete monk and all that in there. So it made it quite large. So someone just wants to have access to, adding some of this stuff in to onto a character sheet, or just having it to be able to reference from out of the spells tab. Um, you could have it. Another thing I did include was a little applying conditions things where it explains how you can use shift to create individual conditions that work just between specific foe to foe stuff. So like someone who's just flat footed against one creature, or someone who's just hidden against others. I decided to throw that in there with places that it might be useful on. But yeah, again, just ways to kind of reference something that, for those of us that aren't always remembering all the rules, maybe there's just another way to get it onto a character sheet, or at least get it easy to refer to, that people find useful. So I know I tried to make this short, and for me, 10 minutes is probably short. And hopefully some people find this useful, and if it really proves to be so, I will definitely take the time. It doesn't take too much, as I did a lot of the work the last time, to go through and make individual modules that are just each separate section of the drag and drop series, so that you only have to grab the ones you're really interested in. So hope people have enjoyed this and the modules so far, and I'll put this information out there so you can go grab it off of the links in the forum and have access to it. I suppose now with the Forge out there, I'll put it out here so that even if I make changes, people can subscribe to it and have it more readily accessed there too. So I'll catch you next time. Thank you.